Welcome to Greenwood High in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, where reputations are built in minutes and shattered just as quickly. The entire student body buzzes with curiosity when a new face arrives on campus, Malik Watson, the quiet boy with watchful eyes and an undercurrent of confidence. Whispers fly in the hallways. Who is he, and why does his gaze carry a weight beyond his years? Everyone wants answers, but a group of notorious bullies decides they only need one. He's a target. Little do they know, the seemingly reserved Malik holds a secret that will turn their entire world upside down in the most unexpected ways. Malik Watson stepped off the bus in front of Greenwood High with a mix of anticipation and caution swirling in his chest. It was a crisp morning, the air brimming with the scent of freshly cut grass and the faint aroma of coffee from a nearby Starbucks. Atlanta. Mornings could be paradoxical sometimes. They greeted you with warmth, other times with a biting chill. Today the air seemed neutral, as if waiting to see what kind of day it would become, just like Malik was waiting to see what his first day at this new school would hold. The building itself was sprawling, an old main structure built of brick expanded over the decades with more modern wings. Malik wore a simple black hoodie jeans and a pair of worn-out Nike sneakers. Even though he kept his posture relaxed, an alertness shone in his dark eyes that had seen more conflict than most kids his age could even imagine. He was moving here from the south side of Chicago. His mother, Malik Watson, had landed a new job in Atlanta, which promised more stability and better pay. For years they had struggled to make ends meet, living in a cramped apartment where gunshots and police sirens broke the night's silence on a weekly basis. But with hard work and a bit of luck, Malik found a position in a respected accounting firm. Both mother and son hoped that relocating to Georgia would be a chance for a fresh start. As he walked toward the massive double doors of Greenwood High, Malik surveyed the students milling around the courtyard. Groups formed in loose circles, the girls gossiping about a possible cheerleading scandal, jocks tossing a football back and forth, and the standard crowd of misfits and loners too. Here and there, individuals wove between these circles, bridging social gaps. The campus had its own sense of order, a system of unspoken hierarchies that governed who hung out with whom. A few heads turned at the sight of a new student. Malik gave polite nods in response, but didn't linger. He sensed the unspoken tension that often greets an unfamiliar face. Curiosity mixed with thinly veiled judgment. In a large public school, new kids were fresh fodder for scrutiny, especially if they arrived halfway through the semester. Yet Malik remained calm. This wasn't his first time as the new kid, and he had learned the art of quietly blending into the background. Standing out too soon was never a good idea in any environment where cliques and intimidation thrived. But even as he tried to appear unassuming, Malik couldn't completely mask his physical bearing. At 15, he was tall for his age, with lean muscles honed by hours of intense martial arts training. Back in Chicago, the local community center offered free classes in boxing and self-defense for at-risk youth. His uncle, a retired Marine, had insisted that Malik learn how to defend himself in a tough neighborhood. Over the years, he had excelled his discipline, matching his physical aptitude. The truth was that Malik didn't look forward to using his skills. He had gained them for protection, for survival, if ever cornered. Non-violence was his first choice, but he understood that sometimes peace came only after you were able to stand your ground. Too often, the bullies who tested him learned that beneath his quiet exterior lay a force they hadn't anticipated. The first thing Malik did was report to the front office. The main hallway was lined with trophies and plaques celebrating Greenwood High's achievements in sports, academic competitions, and arts. The school's mascot was a hawk, and pictures of the bird in flight were plastered everywhere on banners, posters, and even on the shining floor tiles. After introducing himself at the front desk, he received a yellow slip with his class schedule, a school map, and a quick pep talk from a flustered administrative assistant who seemed too busy to ask him anything personal. On his way to homeroom, Malik took note of everything: the locker numbers, the exit signs, even the vantage points where cameras were placed. It was a habit, an almost instinctual awareness of his environment, hammered into him by his uncle's training. He found his locker, stowed away some notebooks, and then joined the flow of students heading to their classes. Inside his homeroom, Malik selected a seat in the second-to-last row by the windows. This vantage allowed him a comfortable view of the entire room. Other students trickled in, greeting friends, swapping jokes, and checking their phones under the desk. A girl with braided hair and bright pink nails offered him a smile. He smiled back, grateful for the small gesture of kindness. Then the homeroom teacher, Ms. Barnes, entered a middle-aged woman with short brown hair and a gentle but firm presence. She took attendance, pausing briefly when she reached Malik's name. He responded with a quiet, "Present," and she nodded, offering him a welcoming smile before moving on. During the brief homeroom session, Ms. Barnes reviewed the school's standard announcements about pep rallies, the upcoming basketball game, and the mandatory fire drill. Nothing unusual, but it gave Malik a sense of the rhythm of life at Greenwood High. He listened attentively, gleaning bits of insight about the school's culture. He also couldn't help but notice a small group of boys seated in the far corner, cracking jokes and nudging each other, shooting side glances at anyone who caught their attention. Their ringleader had a swagger that spoke of an inflated ego. Though Ms. Barnes periodically shushed them, they continued on as if daring her to stop them. Malik had seen their type before: bullies who thrived on the facade of toughness, always scanning for an easy target. One of them glanced in Malik's direction and mouthed something to his friend. Malik caught the tail end of the word "new." A small smirk played on the boy's lips, a prelude to future confrontations. Malik simply returned his gaze with a neutral expression, neither challenging nor submissive. When the bell rang, Ms. Barnes dismissed the class, and students poured into the corridors, chasing down their next destinations. Malik gathered his stuff swiftly, made a mental note of his next class English with Mr. Carlson, and stepped into the swirling tide of teenagers. Greenwood High's hallways were alive with shouts, laughter, and the sound of lockers slamming shut. Amid this bustle, it didn't take long for the group from homeroom to catch up to Malik. Their leader was a tall, lanky boy named Travis Mulligan. He wore a letterman jacket, though it was for the JV football team rather than varsity. His hair was cropped close at the sides, a style that accentuated the arrogance in his dark eyes. Flanking him were two other boys, each radiating the same smug confidence. Travis stepped in front of Malik, blocking his path. "You the new kid, right?" he asked with a tone that was halfway between a challenge and a greeting. His friends formed a loose semicircle around Malik, effectively pinning him against the line of lockers. Malik kept his expression impassive. He glanced at Travis, then at his two stooges. "Yes," he answered simply. Travis's eyebrow arched. He was expecting more of a reaction, maybe fear or nervous chatter. From where he pressed his voice, artificially casual. Chicago Malik replied, his tone clipped. He had no desire to share personal details with strangers who radiated confrontation. One of the sidekicks, a blond boy with a patchy beard that he was evidently proud of, snorted. "Chicago, huh? Guess that means you think you're tough." Malik's gaze flicked to him. He recalled all the nights he'd heard sirens wail outside his window, the turf wars that erupted in his old neighborhood, the times he'd had to stand up to local hustlers who took advantage of smaller kids. Did he think he was tough? He didn't dwell on whether he was or wasn't. He knew how to take care of himself if needed. Never said that he answered unruffled. Travis leaned in a little closer, as if trying to detect some sign of fear. "Just watch yourself," he drawled, voice dropping. "There's an order here at Greenwood. You do what you're supposed to do and you won't have trouble. Get it?" Malik let the words hang in the air. He thought about how bullies thrived on intimidation, on the satisfaction of seeing their targets squirm. He saw the path of least resistance, a meek apology, a nod, maybe a "yes, sir," to feed their egos. But something in him refused. He simply looked Travis in the eye. "Yeah, I get it," he said. Not cowering, just acknowledging the words. The moment stretched, Travis's gaze hardened disappointment creeping in, that Malik wasn't showing the fear or submissiveness he craved. But the bell for the next class gave the bully a convenient exit. Travis smirked and stepped aside. "Better get to class," he said, feigning concern. Wouldn't want the new kid to be late. His entourage exchanged snickers as they retreated. Malik exhaled quietly, aware that this was only the beginning. He'd seen the signs. Travis and his lackeys were the type who would test boundaries until they found your breaking point. For now, Malik would do what he did best: keep quiet, stay alert, and mind his own business. If push came to shove, though, he wouldn't hesitate to defend himself. The question wasn't if a confrontation would happen, but when. English class with Mr. Carlson turned out to be unexpectedly pleasant. Mr. Carlson was a laid-back teacher in his 30s who believed that reading shouldn't be a chore. He spoke passionately about the importance of literature in shaping minds and opened the floor for students to discuss their favorite genres. Malik found a seat near the back, ready to continue his low-profile approach. Within minutes, he noticed a boy nearby glancing in his direction. He had curly dark hair, wore thick-rimmed glasses, and sported a vintage Star Wars t-shirt. After a couple of sidelong looks, the boy shifted in his seat and spoke quietly. "You're the new kid from Chicago, right?" "I'm Terrence." Malik nodded in greeting. "Yeah, just moved here." "I'm Malik." The teacher was busy writing on the board, so they had a moment to chat. Terrence offered him a friendly grin. "How are you liking Greenwood so far?" Malik shrugged. "Haven't seen much of it yet." Terrence's grin faded slightly. He had caught the earlier hallway exchange with Travis and his cronies. "Travis giving you trouble already?" "Don't let him fool you. He's mostly hot air, but he's got a nasty streak if he thinks he can get away with it." Malik tilted his head. "I'm not looking for trouble." Terrence sighed. "No one does. But Travis, he's got a pretty tight grip on a bunch of guys here. And because he's on the football team, the coaches sometimes look the other way. Just be careful." Mr. Carlson turned around from the board, making further conversation risky. But before Malik focused on the lesson, Terrence gave him a friendly nudge. "Anyway, if you need help with anything, finding your way around or whatever, let me know." Malik nodded, grateful for the gesture. It was comforting to meet at least one person who seemed genuine. The rest of the class proceeded smoothly with Mr. Carlson, analyzing a short story they had just read. Malik answered a couple of questions confidently, earning an appreciative nod from the teacher. After class, Terrence caught up with Malik in the hallway. "Where's your next class?" Malik checked his schedule. "Geometry with Ms. Albright, room 206. Terence grimaced. Good luck. She's nice, but geometry can be brutal. Let's walk together. They navigated the crowded corridors as Terence explained a few shortcuts, which stairwells were faster, which hallways to avoid during rush hour, and which bathrooms weren't locked most of the time. The more they talked, the more Malik sensed Terence was a genuinely good person. A bit dorky perhaps, but earnest and kind. Despite his own preference for flying under the radar, Malik found himself appreciating Terence's straightforward kindness. As they approached room 206, Terence pointed out the cafeteria location and the library. We've got a decent library, though some of the computers are ancient, he joked. Before parting ways, Terence offered a small wave. Catch you later, Malik. Seriously, if you need anything, I'm around. Malik watched him go, a ghost of a smile crossing his features. He remembered how in his old school finding even one friend like Terence was a rare blessing. Maybe, just maybe, Greenwood High wouldn't be so bad, after all, bullies notwithstanding. The rest of the morning passed with relative normalcy, though Malik remained aware of a pair of watchful eyes whenever he passed Travis in the hallway. The bullies didn't approach him directly again, but their lingering presence felt like a dark cloud on an otherwise sunny day. During lunch in the bustling cafeteria, Malik picked a quiet corner table. Terence eventually showed up with a tray balanced precariously on one hand, a grin on his face when he spotted Malik. Mind if I sit? Malik gestured to the empty seat. Go ahead. Terence plopped down, unwrapped his cheeseburger, and took a bite. So how's the day going for you so far? Malik shrugged. Fine, I guess. Teachers seem decent. Students, I'm still figuring out. Terence glanced around, cautious. Yeah, you'll see everything here. Some folks are cool, some are drama magnets. Hey, you should meet my friend Jamal. He nodded toward a lanky boy, weaving through the crowd with a backpack slung over one shoulder. Jamal had a warm smile that reached his eyes. Jamal joined them, offered a knuckle bump to Terence, and then to Malik. Heard there's a new kid in school. What's up, man? Malik, he responded, meeting Jamal's friendly gaze. They chatted lightly, mostly about video games, music, and the usual teenage topics. Malik learned that Terence was a math whiz who helped run the school's robotics club, while Jamal was into basketball and wrote for the student newspaper. As the conversation flowed, Malik felt some of the tension from earlier slipping away. Yet that peace was short-lived. Out of the corner of his eye, Malik noticed Travis and his crew entering the cafeteria. They surveyed the crowd like sharks sniffing the water for blood. When Travis's gaze landed on Malik, his lips twisted into a mocking grin. Nudging his buddies, he directed their attention Malik's way. One of them whispered something and they laughed in unison. Malik pretended not to notice, but Terence did. Don't worry. They're not going to do anything here, Terence murmured. Too many teachers. Jamal clenched his jaw. Travis is always looking for someone to torment. Last semester he messed with a freshman so bad that the kid's parents filed a complaint, but the school brushed it off as horseplay. He's got his father's money and the athletic department behind him. Malik didn't respond. His mind flashed back to Chicago, different bullies, same smug confidence. Bullies might look for easy targets, but if they misread that target, the backlash could be severe. He had no intention of getting into trouble, but he also wouldn't run away if cornered. Lunch eventually ended, and the three of them parted ways for afternoon classes. As Malik headed to biology, he felt an undercurrent of unease. Something about Travis's stare conveyed an impending confrontation. He shook his head, focusing on the next task at hand. His mother would be disappointed if he got suspended on his first day. Stay calm, he told himself. Keep your eyes open, but don't provoke. The day concluded with the final bell ringing at 3:15 p.m. Students flooded the hallways, eager to escape. Malik gathered his books from his locker, mentally noting the homework assigned. He planned to go straight home, maybe stop by the local convenience store for a snack. His mother wouldn't be back from work until after 6, so he had time to get started on his assignments and then cook a simple dinner. But as he stepped out of the front doors, he spotted Travis leaning against a pillar with his entourage. It was almost cinematic, the bullies loitering by the school entrance, waiting, scanning for potential prey. The moment Travis saw Malik, his eyes lit with a predatory glint. Malik sighed inwardly, feeling the tension tighten around him like a coil. Terence and Jamal were nowhere to be seen. They probably left via another exit. Malik hefted his backpack, deciding to walk around the group. But Travis peeled away from his buddies, intercepting Malik on the sidewalk. "Going somewhere, Chicago?" Travis asked, his tone falsely casual. Malik nodded. "Home. Long day." Travis smirked, folding his arms. "Heard you're some kind of martial arts genius." That true Malik fought the urge to roll his eyes. Rumors spread fast, especially in high school. "I don't know where you heard that, Hut, but I'm no genius." One of Travis's sidekicks let out a short laugh. "Yeah, heard a story you knocked out 3 guys in your old school. That's a big claim." Malik remained stoic. The truth was that he had defended himself against a small gang once, but only because they cornered him in an alley. He certainly wasn't about to brag about it. "Not interested in fighting," he reiterated calmly. That's so Travis advanced, crowding Malik's space. "Then what are you interested in? We do things a certain way here. New kids gotta earn respect or be a nobody. I don't like your attitude." Malik inhaled slowly, controlling the surge of adrenaline that spiked whenever a threat loomed. "I'm not looking for respect from you," he replied, measured. An ugly sneer appeared on Travis's face. "Got a smart mouth for a nobody." Before things could escalate, an approaching teacher. Coach Hawkins hollered from a distance. "Boys, you better scatter unless you want detention." The bullies stepped away, feigning innocence. Coach Hawkins headed toward the parking lot, not bothering to press the issue further. Travis and his crew exchanged meaningful looks with Malik. Clearly, they wouldn't let the matter drop. Next time, Travis hissed under his breath, stepping back to join his friends. Malik walked away, shoulders tense, muscles coiled. The tension at Greenwood High, barely a day old, was already at a simmer. He feared that soon enough it would come to a boil, forcing him to show a side of himself he preferred to keep hidden. In his mind, he replayed his uncle's words. True strength isn't about wanting to fight. It's about knowing you can and choosing when you must. Malik had no intention of picking a fight, but he wouldn't run from one either. That evening, Malik's bus ride home took him through the quieter neighborhoods of Atlanta, shaded by old oaks and dotted with neatly trimmed lawns. His new apartment building wasn't extravagant, but it was clean in a safer part of town than the Chicago complex he had called home for years. He greeted Mrs. Harris, an elderly woman who lived on the ground floor, before climbing the stairs to the second story. Inside, he flicked on the lights in a modest living room with faded beige carpeting and a second-hand couch. He set his backpack down and walked over to the small dining table, noticing a note from his mom working late. "Left chicken in the fridge. Love you, Mom." He smiled. Even on hectic days, she never forgot to remind him how much she cared. After rummaging for a snack, Malik decided to take advantage of the solitude to practice. He changed into sweatpants and a t-shirt, then moved a small coffee table aside to clear space in the living room. He began his routine of stretches, a meticulous warm-up of each muscle group. Then he transitioned into shadowboxing, jab, cross, hook, duck, his fists slicing the air with practiced precision. Afterward, he dropped into push-ups, sit-ups, and squats, the faint hum of the air conditioner serving as his background music. This regimen was as much mental discipline as physical. It helped him stay centered, the rhythmic motion, clearing his head of the day's tension. While doing a final set of roundhouse kicks, he recalled the reasons he trained so hard. He was 9 when his uncle, a former Marine, discovered him messing around with some older kids who were trying to initiate him into petty crimes. Instead of punishing him, his uncle took him under his wing, introducing him to the disciplined world of martial arts and boxing. He taught Malik that violence was never the first answer, but if cornered, you had to be prepared to defend yourself swiftly and decisively. A year later, Malik's father was killed in a drive-by shooting an innocent bystander who ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. That tragedy only deepened Malik's resolve to become strong enough to protect himself and his mother from the hardships that had plagued their family. Even now, remembering his father's funeral, the tears on his mother's face gave him a solemn sense of purpose. He finished his workout with a moment of meditation, breathing in and out slowly. His mind settled on Greenwood High. Meeting Terence and Jamal had been a positive note, a glimmer of normal teenage life that he rarely had. But Travis Mulligan and his cronies overshadowed that relief. Malik knew bullies rarely backed down once they set their sights on a target. The question was, how far would they go? The second day at Greenwood High began with an unsettling hum of gossip. As Malik walked the corridors, he heard snippets. He's from Chicago. Probably a gangbanger. Did you hear he stabbed someone? They say he's unstoppable in a fight. The rumors were laughably inaccurate, but Malik knew that the more they spread, the bigger a target he would become in the eyes of the bullies. Between classes, Terence caught up with him breathless. Hey man, I've been hearing the craziest stuff. People are saying you knocked out half a gang just to transfer here. Malik frowned. It's all nonsense. I never told anyone any of that. Terence sighed. Welcome to Greenwood's rumor mill. Travis's crew probably started half of them. It's typical either to intimidate you or to stir up drama so they can make you look bad. Malik shrugged. Let them talk. Yet the whispers were irritating. As he settled into algebra class, 2 girls seated behind him eyed him warily, as if he were some kind of dangerous creature. He caught fragments of their hushed conversation. He's cute, but I'm scared to even talk to him. Did you see those scars on his knuckles? Indeed, Malik had scars. Small ones from countless hours hitting punching bags and occasional street scraps. He hated how quickly rumors turned physical evidence into a new piece of scandal. When class ended, Ms. Albright requested Malik stay behind for a moment. She was a kind-looking woman in her late 20s, wearing a floral blouse. She leaned against her desk and waited for the other students to leave. Malik, she said softly, I've heard some stories about you circulating. I'm not one to judge based on rumors, but I wanted to check in. Everything okay? Her concern seemed genuine, so Malik nodded. Yes, ma'am. People are just exaggerating stuff about my past. I figured, Ms. Albright replied, offering a small smile. If anyone gives you trouble, please come talk to a teacher or the principal. All right. I don't want to see any student feeling unsafe. Her reassurance was appreciated, but Malik knew from experience that involving teachers often escalated matters. Still, it touched him that she cared enough to ask. He thanked her and made his way to the next class. Throughout the day, the stares followed him. A few kids looked curious, others leery. Travis, for his part, seemed delighted by the attention. Whenever he spotted Malik, he'd make an offhand remark to his friends, prompting laughter. Malik suspected Travis was building up a narrative about him, painting him either as a threat or a challenge. But Malik refused to react. Fighting in school would not only jeopardize his mother's trust, but also risk any shot at a peaceful new life. A couple of weeks passed in a tense dance. Malik stuck to his routine, attend classes. Keep a low-profile talk, mainly to Terence and Jamal. Travis's crew continued to spread rumors and engage in petty harassment, slamming lockers near him, making snide remarks. Malik ignored it as best he could, yet he sensed the tension building like a thundercloud. One afternoon, the situation escalated in the cafeteria. Malik had just sat down to eat with Terence and Jamal when Travis approached with a tray in hand, flanked by two sidekicks. He wore a Cheshire cat grin. "Mind if we join?" he asked, voice dripping with sarcasm. Malik didn't respond. Terence glanced nervously at Jamal, who rolled his eyes. Travis casually set his tray down across from Malik and took a seat. "Word is you're some big bad fighter," Travis said. "But all I see is a scared kid." Jamal scoffed. "Come on, Travis. Don't you have better things to do?" Travis ignored him. "You're from Chicago, right? Must have been rough. Did your daddy get shot in a drive-by or something?" Malik froze. Blood roared in his ears. The cafeteria noise seemed to dull as Travis's words echoed. How did he know about his father? He probably didn't. He was just flinging out a cruel guess, likely a stereotype. But it hit too close to home. Malik's jaw clenched fury, creeping into his veins. Terence put a hand on Malik's arm, as if sensing the shift in his posture. "Dude, don't listen to him," Terence whispered. Travis, emboldened by Malik's silence, continued. "That's how it goes in those neighborhoods, right? People get shot up every day. Probably should have stayed there. At least you'd have some street cred." Malik stood abruptly, fists balled at his sides. He forced himself to remain calm. His heart hammered, and he felt the overwhelming urge to swing. But he remembered his uncle's advice and his mother's hope for a better future. "What's the matter, tough guy?" Travis taunted, rising slowly. The two sidekicks snickered, but a flicker of uncertainty flashed across their faces when they saw the heat in Malik's glare. Malik exhaled, speaking through clenched teeth. "You don't know anything about me or my father. Shut your mouth before I make you." The entire cafeteria seemed to pause. Conversations tapered off as more students caught wind of the confrontation. Travis's eyes flickered with excitement. This was exactly the reaction he'd been fishing for. "Oh, looks like I struck a nerve," he said with feigned innocence. "Better watch out, everyone. The big bad city boy is about to lose it." Before Malik could act on his impulse, a teacher, Ms. Barnes, stormed over, her expression thunderous. "What is going on here?" Travis quickly threw on a mask of innocence. "Nothing, Ms. Barnes. We were just talking." Malik, still trembling with anger, forced himself to breathe. Ms. Barnes scanned the table, noticing the tension. "Well, break it up, now. If I see any more commotion, you'll all be in detention." Travis smirked, picking up his tray. "No problem here, Ms. Barnes. I was just leaving." As Travis and his cronies walked away, Malik stood there, fists still clenched, heart pounding. He could feel the eyes of the other students on him. Terence gently tugged on Malik's sleeve, guiding him to sit down. Jamal mumbled under his breath. "Man, I swear one day, Travis will push too far." Malik stared at the retreating figures of the bullies, the taste of rage still bitter in his mouth. He had almost lost control in front of everyone. The thought left him feeling both ashamed and unsettled. In that moment, he vowed that if Travis pushed again, especially if he kept disrespecting Malik's father, he wouldn't hold back. Some lines simply couldn't be crossed without consequences. That evening, Malik studied at the small dining table. His mother was in her bedroom going over spreadsheets for work. Every now and then she'd step out to ask him if he needed anything. Their new routine was a far cry from the chaotic days in Chicago, but it wasn't entirely peaceful. Malik's mind was still trapped in that cafeteria scene, the memory of Travis's words fueling an undercurrent of fury and hurt. Around 8 o'clock, Malik's phone buzzed, a number he didn't recognize. He hesitated, then answered. "Hello." The line crackled, then a familiar voice spoke. "Yo, Malik, it's your uncle, Uncle Drew." Malik's face lit up. His uncle had stayed behind in Chicago working security for a local shipping yard. They hadn't spoken in a while due to Malik's move and his uncle's hectic schedule. "How's my favorite nephew doing?" Uncle Drew asked. Malik's shoulders relaxed for the first time that day. "I'm good, I guess." "School's different?" "Different." How Uncle Drew's tone sharpened with concern. Malik hesitated, torn between not wanting to worry his uncle and needing advice. "I got some bullies on me. Nothing I can't handle, but I don't want to make trouble for Mom." Uncle Drew exhaled audibly. "I understand. But you remember what I told you. You didn't train all those years just to stand by while punks push you around. If you can walk away, do it." If not, Malik finished the sentence quietly. "Then I handle my business." "That's right. I know you'll do what's right. But promise me you won't let them disrespect you or your family." Malik swallowed. The memory of Travis's mockery about his father still stung. "I won't." Uncle Drew's voice softened. "I'm proud of you, kid. New city, new challenges. Just keep your head on straight. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself if they cross the line." "I will," Malik said, a bit more confidence in his voice. After a bit more small talk, Malik hung up, feeling both comforted and uneasy. His uncle's words reminded him of the fine line he walked. Avoiding trouble was prudent, but self-respect mattered too. The next time Travis took a shot at him, Malik suspected it wouldn't end in a teacher's intervention. A few days later, tension reached a tipping point. Rumors still circulated about Malik's fighting prowess, but a new narrative also emerged. He was all talk, all rumor, because despite Travis's incessant bullying, Malik hadn't thrown a single punch. Some students mocked him under their breath for not standing up for himself. Others believed it was a strategic choice. Then, on a Friday afternoon, the football team had just finished practice. The locker room bustled with sweaty players and the usual post-practice banter. Travis, still wearing his jersey, was complaining to a teammate about the new play the coach wanted them to learn. Meanwhile, Malik was at his locker in a quiet corridor nearby, retrieving his science textbook he'd forgotten that morning. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind him. Before he could turn around, a forceful hand slammed the locker door. Malik spun to see Travis standing there, flanked by two of his football buddies. The hallway was nearly empty. Most students had either gone home or were in after-school clubs. Travis's chest heaved, still pumped from practice. "You think you're so tough, Chicago boy," he spat. "Walking around ignoring me, acting like you're too good to acknowledge the warnings." Malik's pulse quickened, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm trying to stay out of trouble, that's all." Travis snorted. "Trouble found you anyway. You want to be big and bad. Prove it. One of Travis's teammates, a bulky linebacker, closed in. I say we teach him a lesson, Travis. Show him who runs this place. Malik stepped back, scanning for exits. The hallway had one set of double doors behind Travis and a corner leading toward the gym. But Travis's group blocked the nearest path. That's enough, Malik warned. I don't want to fight. Travis sneered, grabbing the front of Malik's shirt. Too bad. Should have thought of that before disrespecting me in front of the whole cafeteria. Malik tried to control his breathing. He recalled Uncle Drew's words, "Walk away, if you can." But he couldn't walk away from a grip on his shirt. Couldn't walk away from the possibility that these guys might beat him senseless. His instincts flared. In one fluid motion, Malik broke Travis's grip, twisting his arm free. He used a simple wrist lock, the move coming as naturally as breathing. Travis yelped as the pressure forced him to stumble forward. The linebacker lunged, aiming to tackle Malik against the lockers. Malik sidestepped, hooking his foot around the player's ankle in a trip maneuver that sent the bigger boy crashing to the ground with a loud thud. The third bully swung a fist wildly. Malik leaned back, letting the punch whistle past his face, then countered with a sharp jab to the ribs. The boy gasped, eyes wide, as he clutched his side and staggered backward. In seconds, 3 would-be attackers reeled in surprise. Travis nursed his twisted wrist. The linebacker struggled to get up, and the other boy was still doubled over. Malik's eyes blazed with a fierce warning, but he didn't follow up with more strikes. Instead, he stepped back, fists raised defensively. Travis's face contorted with fury. "You freak!" he shouted, voice cracking. But the anger in his eyes was tinged with something else, fear. He lunged at Malik again, and Malik blocked, delivering a quick elbow to Travis's chest. Travis stumbled, coughing in pain. Before the scuffle could escalate further, a booming voice rang out. What the hell is going on here? Coach Hawkins stood at the end of the hallway, his barrel-like chest heaving. He rushed over, separating the boys. "Break it up!" Travis, gasping and holding his chest, pointed an accusing finger at Malik. He just attacked us out of nowhere. Malik glared, chest rising and falling with adrenaline. They cornered me. They started it. I was defending myself. Coach Hawkins eyed the scene. Travis's cronies scrambling to their feet. Malik's posture still defensive. He narrowed his eyes at Travis. "Is that true?" "They're lying. He jumped me," Travis insisted. But his words lacked conviction. His face was flushed clearly in pain from Malik's counterattacks. The coach looked unconvinced. "All of you, principal's office now," Travis muttered curses under his breath. His 2 friends exchanged guilty glances. Malik slowly lowered his fists, the tension still coursing through him. But he knew he had no choice. He followed Coach Hawkins down the corridor, weaving through the onlookers who had caught the tail end of the altercation. Some stared in awe, others in shock. The showdown had finally happened. Malik had tried to walk away, but Travis forced his hand. Now he wondered what consequences awaited him in the principal's office and how this might upend his fresh start at Greenwood High. A tense silence filled Principal Harding's office. Principal Harding was a tall, imposing woman with keen eyes that missed nothing. She sat behind a wide wooden desk, hands folded. To her left stood Coach Hawkins, his arms crossed. Travis and his 2 friends nursed bruises and scraped elbows, while Malik stood to the side, his own knuckles slightly swollen from contact. "I've heard your sides of the story." Principal Harding said, her tone measured. "Coach Hawkins found the 3 of you on top of Malik in the hallway." "Is that correct?" Travis shifted, glancing at his cohorts. "Malik attacked us first," he insisted. though his voice was unsteady. We were just walking by and he flipped out. Malik exhaled. That's not true. They cornered me. I told them I didn't want to fight. Principal Harding studied Malik. And you? Did you start this? No, ma'am. I've been avoiding them, but they wouldn't leave me alone. They grabbed me. I defended myself. The principal looked at Coach Hawkins, who shrugged. I saw Travis grabbing Malik's shirt. Then Malik fought back. That's all I can confirm. Principal Harding sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. Travis, I've had complaints about you and your friends before, but they never had sufficient evidence. This time, we have a coach who witnessed part of the incident. You understand the seriousness of this, right? Travis swallowed hard, remaining silent. One of his friends tried to interject, but Harding cut him off. Enough! All 4 of you broke school rules by engaging in violence on campus. She paused, leveling her gaze at Malik. However, based on what Coach saw, and your prior clean record, I'm inclined to believe you were acting in self-defense. Malik. Malik let out a quiet breath of relief, but he knew there would still be repercussions. Principal Harding delivered her verdict. Travis and his 2 friends would receive a 1-week suspension. Malik would receive a warning and 2 days of in-school suspension punishment for fighting even in self-defense, but less severe. When Travis heard his sentence, he erupted. A week. That's not fair. Silence. The principal snapped, her tone final. You're lucky I'm not recommending expulsion given the pattern of bullying I've seen documented. Now get out of my office. Coach Hawkins escorted a furious Travis and his cohorts out, leaving Malik alone with the principal. She adjusted her glasses, regarding him calmly. I don't like violence in my school, Malik, but I recognize that sometimes students are pushed too far. Please, if there's a next time, contact a teacher before things get physical. I understand, Malik said, subdued. I didn't want to fight. She nodded, cutting him off gently. I believe you. Just be mindful of the consequences. As Malik left the office, a swirl of relief and trepidation coursed through him. He had stood up for himself, but now he was on the school's radar, and Travis, angry, suspended, and humiliated, wouldn't forget this anytime soon. News of the fight spread through Greenwood High like wildfire. By Monday morning, practically everyone knew that Malik had single-handedly fended off Travis and 2 football players. Some students whispered in awe, others gossiped about potential retaliation once Travis returned. A few offered Malik silent nods of respect in the hallways. Terence and Jamal caught up with him before first period. Terence eyed Malik's bruised knuckles with a concerned frown. Hey, man. You okay? Malik shrugged. Just a little sore. Jamal let out a low whistle. The whole school's talking about how you took on 3 guys. Sounds like you gave them a real beatdown. I didn't beat them down, Malik said quietly. They tried to jump me, and I defended myself. Terence nodded. Still, people are saying Travis looked like a mess when he left. That's big news around here. He's not used to losing. Malik sighed. He brought it on himself. As the week progressed, the tension of Travis's absence hovered in the background. No one dared to bother Malik openly. Some of Travis's friends glared at him in passing, but they didn't confront him. Even the teachers seemed warier around him, partly curious, partly sympathetic. Ms. Albright continued to check on him, and Ms. Barnes gave him a gentle smile during homeroom, acknowledging that the situation had at least been temporarily diffused. Malik spent his 2 days of in-school suspension quietly catching up on homework. He kept thinking about how quickly his new start had derailed into violent confrontation. While he didn't regret defending himself, he hoped that once Travis returned, the bully might think twice before picking another fight. The day Travis came back, a ripple of anticipation moved through the student body. Would he try to get revenge on Malik immediately? The tension was palpable, but Travis seemed unusually subdued. He still had a bruise on his cheek and moved with a stiffness that hinted at residual pain from the altercation. Malik noticed him glancing over with simmering hate, but Travis made no move to attack. During lunch, however, Malik overheard a heated conversation near the cafeteria doors. Travis was arguing with Coach Hawkins, voices rising, despite attempts to remain discreet. "I need to play Friday's game," Travis insisted. "You can't bench me." Coach Hawkins shook his head, arms crossed. "Principal Harding said you're suspended from the next 2 games. Actions have consequences, Travis." Travis's face contorted with rage. "This is bull." "That's enough," Coach Hawkins barked. "You cost us a shot at regionals. Next time, maybe you'll keep your temper in check." Hearing that piece of news, Malik realized Travis's punishment extended beyond school discipline to the football field, a blow to Travis's ego and status. Hard karma indeed. A few hours later, the day ended with a surprise. Rumors flew that Travis's father, a prominent donor to the school, was furious about his son's suspension. Some said he threatened to withdraw funding. Principal Harding reportedly told him that rules applied to everyone equally. If that was true, it only added to Travis's frustration. Malik tried not to dwell on Travis's plight. He had more pressing concerns, his academics, forging new friendships, and making a life in Atlanta. Still, he couldn't help but sense that Travis was plotting something. The hateful glances continued, each an unspoken promise that the conflict wasn't over. Days turned into weeks. Thanks to Travis's suspension from the games, the football team lost a crucial match, damaging their chances for a state title run. Whispers circulated that Travis was to blame. His reckless bullying cost the team a key player at a pivotal moment. One afternoon, Malik was walking to the library when he noticed someone approaching from behind. He tensed, expecting trouble. But it was a girl, Melanie Johnson, the head cheerleader, and one of the most popular girls at Greenwood High. She offered a tentative smile. "Hey, Malik, right?" He nodded warily. "Yes, I'm Melanie," she introduced, flicking her curls behind her shoulder. "Listen, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry about everything that happened with Travis. He's, complicated." Malik arched an eyebrow. He'd never spoken to Melanie before, and her sudden apology caught him off guard. "Thanks, I guess." She looked down, biting her lip. "He and I dated for a while. I know he's got issues, anger problems especially. I broke up with him when I realized how toxic he was. I heard about the fight, and I don't blame you one bit." He had it coming. Malik wasn't sure how to respond. "I appreciate that." Melanie sighed, glancing down the hallway, as if to ensure Travis wasn't lurking. "Just be careful. Travis has this way of holding on to grudges. He won't let things go easily." Malik nodded gratitude, tempered by caution. "I will." She gave him a small wave and headed off. As Malik watched her go, he felt a surge of validation. Even someone close to Travis acknowledged that the bully had crossed a line and deserved repercussions. Yet her warning remained in the back of his mind. Though Travis avoided direct confrontations after his suspension, Malik became the target of subtle harassment, rude notes, trash on his desk, graffiti calling him a Chicago coward. Terrence and Jamal urged him to report it, but Malik refused without proof. A hallway shove, hateful whispers, and constant tension wore him down. He poured his energy into studying for midterms, determined not to lose focus. Still, the unease lingered. Travis's quiet hostility burned like a smoldering fire, waiting for its chance to ignite. Malik stayed alert, knowing full well silence didn't mean surrender. It meant something worse was coming. The annual Greenwood High football banquet was a big deal, a formal affair where awards were handed out and players were recognized for their efforts. Though the team hadn't made it to state, the event still held prestige. Malik had no plans to attend, but Terence and Jamal convinced him to come. Free food and moral support, Jamal joked. Malik agreed, donning a simple collared shirt and slacks. The auditorium buzzed with energy parents, teachers, and students mingling dressed in their best. Trophies lined a table near the podium, glinting under the lights. From the back row, Malik spotted Travis seated in the front, with his father a stern man in a designer suit. Even seated, Travis radiated tension, his jaw tight and eyes scanning the room like a caged animal. Malik wondered what it must feel like to return to school as the reason the team lost its shot at state. Principal Harding kicked off the ceremony. Awards flowed, Best Defender Academic Standout Leadership Recognition. Finally, it was time for Most Promising Player. Travis's name was called. The applause was thin, polite at best. Travis approached the podium, accepted his plaque from Coach Hawkins, and forced a smile. His speech was short. "Thanks to my teammates. We'll come back stronger next year." His eyes briefly met Malik's before shifting away. As he returned to his seat, Malik noticed the subtle tension between Travis and his father. Words were exchanged in hushed tones. Travis's face flushed with embarrassment. After the ceremony, Malik slipped outside for air. He stood near the parking lot, letting the cool night wind clear his thoughts. Then the door slammed. Travis stormed out, spotted Malik, and marched over. "You ruined everything," he hissed. "My dad's furious. My teammates hate me. You did this." Malik stood firm. "You brought it on yourself." Travis's fists clenched. "I'm not done with you. You're going to pay." Before he could strike, a teacher called his name from the doorway. He threw one last venomous glare, then retreated. Malik exhaled, jaw tight. The war wasn't over. Travis was unraveling, and that made him dangerous. In the following days, Travis's threat lingered in Malik's mind. Sure enough, rumors spread of Travis bragging he had something big planned. Malik tried to remain calm. Still, he tightened his practice regimen, focusing on staying alert. Terence and Jamal were worried too, especially after they found a hateful note in Malik's locker. "Watch your back, Chai boy." "Why does he keep calling you out?" Terence muttered. "He already lost once." Jamal's jaw set. "He's a sore loser. And he has a serious anger problem, obviously." They decided to keep an eye out for anything suspicious, especially after school. Despite the tension, Malik refused to cower. He'd walk the halls with his head up, though he avoided certain secluded areas. He refused to let Travis intimidate him into changing his daily routine. It was late Thursday afternoon when Malik stayed after school to retake a geometry quiz. The halls were nearly deserted as dusk painted the sky in warm purples and oranges. As he stepped into the corridor near the side exit, footsteps echoed behind him. He turned and froze. Travis stood there, flanked by 3 new football teammates. None were familiar, but all were big. Malik's stomach sank. "Time to finish this." Travis snarled, eyes blazing with hatred. Malik scanned the exits one way out behind him, but they blocked the main route. He exhaled slowly. "Walk away. You don't want this." Travis didn't flinch. "I want you gone." They charged. Malik's world narrowed. He dodged the first swing, redirected one attacker into a locker, then ducked under another punch and countered with a body shot. Another boy grabbed him from behind. Malik stomped his foot, elbowed him, spun free. But it was 4 against 1. A fist caught his jaw. Another slammed into his ribs. Malik gritted his teeth, absorbing the pain. He caught Travis with a clean punch, sending him reeling, but was soon grabbed again, arms pinned. Travis advanced, winding up for a final blow. Then, "Stop, get off him." Terence and Jamal rushed in, followed by Miss Barnes, who was shouting into her phone. In seconds, chaos reversed. Jamal swung his backpack at one attacker. Terence tackled another. Miss Barnes threatened to call the police, and the gang scattered. Malik slumped against the wall, breathing hard blood on his lip, but eyes defiant. He had survived the ambush, but barely. More than ever, it was clear this wasn't just bullying anymore. It was war, and it had just reached its peak. Following the brutal hallway assault, the school could no longer ignore Travis's actions. With multiple eyewitnesses and Ms. Barnes's testimony, the sheriff's office got involved. Facing potential charges, Travis's father withdrew him from Greenwood High to avoid legal consequences. His accomplices faced similar punishments: suspension, expulsion, or withdrawal. Malik, though bruised, returned to school to newfound respect. Principal Harding apologized, promising reforms in handling bullying. Miss Barnes and Coach Hawkins praised his courage, but urged him to stay focused on his future. Malik didn't see Travis's downfall as a win. Violence was never the goal. But justice had finally been served. As time passed, normalcy returned. Malik, Terence, and Jamal laughed over classes and looked forward to summer. Malik had earned not just safety, but peace. Travis's legacy became a warning. Cruelty has consequences, and karma never forgets. Thank you so much for tuning into this story of resilience, respect, and the power of standing up to bullies. We've witnessed how Malik's quiet strength and unwavering determination shattered the illusion of control Travis held over Greenwood High. When you refuse to bow to intimidation and fight only when there's no other option, you can transform a story of conflict into one of triumph and growth. Malik's journey reminds us all: never let fear or rumors dictate who you are. If you enjoyed listening to Malik's tale, let's keep that positive energy going. Please give this video a like, share it with your friends who could use an inspiring story. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you stories that uplift, entertain, and remind us of the incredible strength inside us all. See you in the next video.